Good evening. Welcome to News Stories on Omalicha Radio 91.1 FM, your number one development radio station. I am Rosemary Mwabasi Ibebu. The headlines. Imo government reiterates ban on sand mining in Owerri Municipal. World Photography Day, Imo photographers call for unity, professionalism, and excellence. Okorocha sues INEC, APC over Uzodima's Imo West senator candidacy. Israeli military reopens probe into death of Palestinian civilians. Nick Hygros admits cocaine violations following suspension. Now the news in details. The Imo State government has reiterated its ban on sand mining in Owerri Municipal, warning miners against activities capable of degrading the environment. The ban, which was introduced in 2020, followed concerns over the environmental impact of indiscriminate sand mining, including land degradation and the destruction of vegetation in parts of the municipal where the activities take place. Reiterating the government's position, Ms. Ekulonu Ijoma, head of the Department of Ecology and Climate Change in Imo State Ministry of Environment and Sanitation, urged miners to comply with directives and take responsibility for the environmental impact of their activities. She spoke in an interview with our correspondent, Rosemary Mwabasi Ibebu. Ekulonu listed areas around the Otamiri and Owerri rivers among locations where sand mining is prohibited, stressing that economic activities should not come at the expense of environmental protection. Ekulonu urged miners to take necessary precautions as anyone caught mining in the reserved areas would have their equipment seized and be duly punished.
Their civic responsibility to also take care of the environment. So when the activities is now causing environmental lesion, when the activities is killing the environment, they should also do one or two precautions and do the right thing, because at the end of the day, we need this environment for even our future children yet unborn. If we kill this environment, where will we stay?
She noted that the environment is needed not only by the present generation but also by generations yet unborn, warning that its continued destruction could threaten their future. The Imo State Professional Photographers and Videographers Association of Nigeria, ISPAN, has called for greater unity, professionalism, and excellence among practitioners as photographers mark World Photography Day. The call was made during the program in Owerri to mark the 2026 World Photography Day themed Home. The theme draws attention to the people, places, memories, and experiences that give meaning to home. It also highlights photography's role in documenting communities and capturing how the places people live and work change over time. In communities affected by erosion, flooding, environmental degradation, or the loss of farmland, photographs can provide a visual record of these changes and show how they affect people's life and livelihood. Against this backdrop, ISPAN President Comrade Onyahelam Chibuzothi, who is also the CEO of Lovers Multimedia, urged practitioners to work together and maintain professional standards to strengthen the industry. He identified funding as one of the association's major challenges and disclosed plans to establish a revenue-generating studio and a mini photo enlargement laboratory. Chibueze described the lack of a functioning laboratory as one of the biggest challenges facing photographers in Imo State. Beyond physical facilities, the association also stressed the need for practitioners to adapt to a digital landscape. Its chief patron, Chief Kennedy Zanders, urged members to establish websites where their works could be showcased and accessed by a wider audience. He also pledged support for a magazine to promote the association's activities and members' work. World Photography Day is observed every August 19th and traces its history to the public announcement of the daguerreotype process in 1839. The annual observation recognizes photography's role in storytelling, communication, and documenting people and places. For Imo communities, the significance of the day goes beyond celebrating the art of photography. It is also a reminder that camera can preserve evidence of what communities look like, what is changing around them, and how those changes affect the people who call them home. Former Imo State Governor Senator Rochas Okorocha has dragged the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to court over the Commission's recognition of Governor Hope Uzodinma as the All Progressive Congress candidate for the Imo West Senatorial District in 2027 election. Okorocha, who is also challenging the APC's nomination of Uzodinma, joined the governor and the ruling party as defendants in the suit filed before the Federal High Court in Abuja. The originating summons, filed on August 13, 2026, is marked FHC/ABJ/CS/1854/2026. In the suit, Okorocha is asking the court to determine whether INEC is bound by the report of its officials who monitored the APC senatorial primaries held in May 18th, where he claimed to have emerged as the party's candidate. He's also challenging the legality of INEC's publication of Uzodinma's name, citing Section 183 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, which concerns the powers and restrictions applicable to a state governor. Okorocha is consequently asking the court to set aside INEC's August publication recognizing Uzodinma as the APC's candidate for Imo West and order the commission to recognize and publish his name instead. The legal challenge follows the APC primaries in May, where the party declared Uzodinma winner after he polled 230,464 votes against Okorocha's 1,998 votes across the 12 local government areas in Imo West. Uzodinma, who previously represented Imo West in the Senate from 2011 to 2019, is seeking a return to the National Assembly after completing his second tenure as governor. His current tenure is expected to end in January 2028. The court case now places the APC's Imo West ticket at the center of a fresh political and legal contest ahead of the 2027 general elections. Indigenes of Ebenezi community in Nobi, Idemili South, local government area of Anambra State, have protested against the planned demolition of their ancestral home to make way for a power line project. The protesters, who staged demonstration at the Obiezenabo Traditional Center in Ebenezi on Tuesday, appealed to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Anambra State Governor Professor Chukwuma Soludo to intervene in the dispute between the community and the transmission company of Nigeria over the project. The community members alleged that more than 6 elders had collapsed and died following the marking of houses in the area for demolition by officials of the Anambra Physical Planning Board. They further claimed that affected landlords had been given 14 days to demolish their houses or risk having the structures pulled down by the government, with the owners allegedly requiring to bear the cost. Speaking during the protest, chairman of Ebenesi Community, Chief Okechukwu Oraka, accompanied by his deputy, Chief Patrick Nwanyako, said the community was not opposed to development but objected to the demolition because no arrangement had been made to relocate residents whose homes would be affected. Oraka urged the state and federal government to engage the community and provide a clear relocation and compensation plan before any demolition is carried out. The community called for dialogue with the relevant authorities, saying the power project should not be implemented at the expense of residents who have lived on the affected ancestral land for generations. The protesters also appealed to the authorities to suspend the demolition exercise until the concerns of the affected residents are addressed. The federal government has assured protesting military veterans that their concerns over pension adjustments and other welfare issues will receive urgent attention. The assurance came on Wednesday, August 19th, as retired military personnel protest at the Ministry of Defense in Abuja over the non-implementation of consequential adjustment to their pension following salary increases approved for 7 military personnel. The veterans, led by retired Colonel Innocent Azubike, are demanding that the pension adjustment be implemented, arguing that the retirees should benefit from the salary review approved for 7 personnel. The protest was met with heavy security deployment, with police officers and soldiers preventing the veterans from converging directly in front of the Defense Ministry. Responding to the demands, Defense Minister Christopher Musa said the government was engaging relevant military pension and financial authorities to find a sustainable solution. Musa said any adjustment to veterans' entitlement must be properly calculated, funded, and implemented in line with existing approvals and regulations. He also assured the veterans that the Defense Ministry would continue discussions with their representatives and provide updates as progress is made. The Federal Executive Council has approved an amendment to the National Mental Health Act to decriminalize attempted suicide in Nigeria. The coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pate, disclosed this after the council meeting, describing suicide as a major public health concern in the country. Pate noted that attempted suicide remains criminalized under Section 327 of the Criminal Code Act and Section 231 of the Penal Code, laws which, he said, treat people experiencing psychological distress as offenders rather than individuals in need of care and support. According to the minister, criminalizing attempted suicide can discourage people at risk from seeking help and is inconsistent with the National Mental Health Act 2021, which provides for supportive care, protection, and treatment for people at risk of self-harm. He said the World Health Organization estimates that more than 7,000 people die by suicide annually in Nigeria, while about 300,000 suicide attempts are recorded each year. The amendment approved by FEC is expected to shift the response to attempted suicide from punishment towards mental health care and support. You're listening to the news on Omalicha Radio 91.1 FM Owerri. I'm Rosemary Mwabasi Ibebu. More when we come back from the break. Do stay with us.
When news breaks, Omalicha 91.1 breaks in.
I admit the decision will impose extra burden on the masses of our people. I feel your pain.
Reliable.
I disagree with them. What they're actually preaching is the problem of Nigeria. The problem of Nigeria is accepting wrongdoing, accepting what is unacceptable. That is using God's name in vain.
and accurate.
I had the opportunity to speak with the president on the issues of security and insecurity in Imo State.
Listen to Omalicha News 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. Saturday and Sunday for the latest local and international news on Omalicha 91.1 Owerri.
All these institutions, we need to reform. They need purging, overhauling, and the reformation.
Omalicha News, news you can trust.
Welcome back. On the international scene, the Israeli military has announced criminal investigations into the death of 5-year-old Palestinian girl Hind Rajab and 15 Palestinian paramedics during the Gaza war. The investigations are the first criminal probes announced by the Israeli military into alleged misconduct by its troops in the conflict. Rajab was killed in 2024 after becoming trapped in a vehicle with members of her family. The military has now acknowledged that its troops fired on the vehicle and ordered a criminal investigation into the incident. The second investigation concerns the death of 15 Palestinian emergency and humanitarian workers in southern Gaza in March 2025 while responding to casualties. The military say it has reviewed about 150 incidents involving the conduct of its force in Gaza and has made decisions on 5 cases. However, it has decided against opening criminal investigations into some other controversial incidents, including the death of 7 World Central Kitchen aid workers and 4 Doctors Without Borders staff. The probe come amid continuing international calls for accountability over civilian deaths during Israel's military campaign in Gaza. China is showcasing a new generation of humanoid robots at the World Robot Conference in Beijing as manufacturers seek to move the technology beyond demonstrations and into everyday commercial use. More than 300 companies are attending the conference, displaying over 2,000 robotic products, including humanoid machines designed to sort parcels, pack mobile phones, and assist with household chores. The demonstration reflects China's growing push to establish robotics as a major technology industry, with companies targeting applications in manufacturing, logistics, and home. Reuters report that Chinese companies accounted for about 97% of global humanoid robot shipment in the first half of 2026. The conference also comes as investors' interest in the sector grows. Chinese humanoid robot maker Unitree recorded a major surge in its share price after making its debut on the Shanghai stock market. Despite the rapid development, many humanoid robots are still at an early stage of commercial deployment, with manufacturers facing challenges in making the machines reliable and affordable for widespread use. And on sport, Australian tennis star Nick Kyrgios has admitted testing positive for cocaine, describing it as a huge mistake and saying he takes full responsibility. Kyrgios made the admission on Instagram on Wednesday, August 19, apologizing to his fans, family, sponsors, and young followers. He said he was deeply disappointed in himself and acknowledged the example his action could set. The statement followed the International Tennis Integrity Agency announcement that Kyrgios has been provisionally suspended from professional tennis. The suspension has been in effect since August 4th. The positive sample was collected on June 22nd during an ATP 250 tournament in Mallorca, Spain. A World Anti-Doping Agency accredited laboratory confirmed the presence of benzylococaine, a metabolite of cocaine, on July 17th. Kyrgios, a former world number 13 and 2022 Wimbledon finalist, has struggled with injuries in recent years. He says the suspension has served as a wake-up call and plans to stay away from social media and public life for 28 days. He has the right to appeal the suspension, but has not done so. And that's the news on Omalicha Radio, produced by Rosemary Mwabasi Ibibu. If you have an eyewitness report or wish to make inquiries, do reach out to our news desk at Omalicha Radio 91.1 FM via calls to 090 306 70799. Email at info@omalicaradio.com. On X at Omalicha Radio. On Facebook at Omalicha Radio. Thank you for listening. I am Rosemary Mwabasi Ibibu. Good evening.